at least arm span apart and plus a little bit more. 7 or 8 feet is plenty. So me, cut it off right there. You got some climb? Yeah, cut that unit right there.
He's like, I'm ready.
All right, everybody cut them a piece off that long. Find the middle of your piece of wire. One easy way is on the arch of your foot. If you've got a monster foot, you're going to get yelled at because the lineman's going to hate how big the middle of it is. But for right now, that's not the arch of your foot. Or pudding. There you go.
Pudding. I like pudding.
So if you see, as I had it under the arch of my foot, that just finds the middle point, right? Easy way to find it. Then I bent 2 tails sticking out away from my body. Like so. See that? About 3 fingers wide, and I've just bent them out. That's all I did. So do that. You get a lot of hate comments on this as Colton posts this, but it's okay. So take the ends and bend them out just like I did. For the 4th time.
Bring your set now.
It's easy to do it while I've got it under my foot, finding a middle point, and I just grab about 3 fingers deep, and we'll bend it out like that. So now, you start rolling. Several different ways to do this. Depends on the crew you're working with and how they want this. Okay? You need to make it somewhat neat. I'm just going to show you something, so y'all start rolling them up, okay? Just do your thing on both sides. Leaving a loop in the middle. We go around the insulator. You just do your thing, don't worry about me.
I tell you, when you go on a crew, you're going to get yelled at the most when you make tie wires up, because they're going to be really picky about how you make that loop, right, Shane?
Yeah.
Real picky. Yes. Now make a in the middle.
Somewhat like that. Just a general idea. So everybody pretty close? So if you look at them, they all look different, right?
In the middle.
They all look a little bit different, right? Idea's the same, but they're a little bit different.
And yours is so small that you can't even get 2 fingers in there.
So you right here, Randy talking about getting 2 fingers in there.
I can get through.
Depends on the crew you're with. Who's your boss is how they like this. If you look at mine, I know that's still ugly, so I don't want to hear it. It's still ugly, but it's small, right? Some guys are going to want them small like that and turned up from the loop. Okay? Some guys are going to like it like this. Big enough loop when I get my finger in there with rubber gloves. You know, it depends on who you're with. 2 different ways, end result's the same. It ties wire in, right? You're going to get yelled at, just deal with it and figure out how they like it. Your job's probably going to be to make some of these up and have them ready. You just got to find what they like, okay? You expect to get yelled at. If you're on a crew that uses these a lot, you'll figure it out real quick what they like. Okay, so we're going to do 2 ties. Straight line tie. Here it's called a West Coast tie or a 3-2 tie. Same thing. If you remember what I said in the classroom, you'll see why that is, and I'll show you why. Okay, so we'll do a straight line tie first, and then we're going to do a side tie on the next little pole down right here. Okay, side tie is the one I showed you where one starts on top and one starts on the bottom of under the wire. One over, one under the piece of wire. Okay, so the straight line tie first. Does not matter how you start. When we climb here and build, you're going to be obviously climbing the pole this way, right? So you can either push it away from you. It's easier to pull. So if I put it around the insulator away from me, that's going to be fine because most of you, you're going to be climbing like this, right? But I'll do it this way since y'all are watching where you can see. So I'm starting on either side of the insulator. It does not make a hill of beans. Okay? So I'm going to do Quit, Randy.
Okay.
So I got one button. Okay. Then I'm going to cross from the opposite side I started with. Started over here, did one button, then I'm going to cross on the opposite side. Make those lay as neat as you can lay them. You'll see some guys. Let me see your climbs. So they'll get to a certain spot. Depends on what, it don't matter what spot. They're going to do it somewhere. They're going to grab the tie with their climbs and they're going to cinch it down just like that. Okay? If you do that, or if you want them to do that, you got to be careful and don't get that tie wire in that cutter because you will cut it off. I just put it up in the nose of the jaw. This one, I grabbed it, then I let the wire be my pivot point, right? I've seen some guys do that. You may see it and you may not. And Randy's going to put his 2 cents worth in, but either way.
You can use the back jaw too.
Results are the same, right?
That's right.
You're going to get hollered at one way or the other.
That's right. You're gonna.
Okay? So I did. Started the opposite side of me, one button, and I crossed on the opposite side, right? From where I started. 2 buttons, and I'm going to cross on the side I started with. Trying to make these lay as neat as I can. Randy boogered my wire up a little bit, so it's okay. So I went 1, crossed it back opposite side, and I went 3 buttons. So I've got 3 buttons right here, right? 1 and 3. Cross, 2 buttons. Two flares. And 2 buttons. They're going to hammer me a little bit out there in no man's land about how ugly that looked, but it's okay. Two buttons. Climbs again. So, old school guys, if you look in that book and if you talk to a lot of guys, they're going to cut this off on top and fold it down. That's the way they've always been taught, right? That's what it ends up being. I would prefer, Randy would prefer, cut it off and leave it on the bottom. Your job at some point in time is going to be to inspect line hose. You're going to have them on the truck on a rain day. You're going to look at them, or they may want you to look at them every day before you use them. Line hose, big rubber thing that slides on here. They could be yellow, but they're rubber. They fit around the wire, and they kind of grip all the way around it, but they lay on top of the wire when they sit here. Job is going to be slide the wire out here somewhere, or line hose out this way, slide it on, and you're going to slide it up against the insulator. Do the same thing with this side, slide it up, then you're going to wrap this with a blanket. But when you uncover that, take all the rubber off of it, you slide this line hose that way, hung on that tail, right? If I slide this one back, it didn't hang. This one hung, this one didn't. So you see that scratch on my glove right there? That's what that does to the inside of that line hose. So it puts a bad spot eventually in that line hose that you're supposed to be responsible for checking one day. And it could get somebody hurt if you miss it or if they don't check them or something like that. So I would prefer you to put them on the bottom. That tail's not quite long enough, but bend it and lay it down on the bottom side of the wire. Okay? Does that make a little bit of sense? That way it's out of the way when you slide that line hose over. But you need to leave it long enough where it's real easy for you to grab a hold of with whatever. Knife, something just to flip that tail down. See, this one just short. It's a little bit harder to deal with, and it boogers up your glove a little bit.
If you leave about 2 inches, you're good.
You don't want to leave it long enough where you fold it up and it sticks all the way up into the insulator right here.
How much?
That's way too long.
So it's 1 twist, 3 twist, 2 2 2.
Yep, one,
One
three,
button,
two, two,
cross
two.
it. 1 3 2 2 2. Those flares are horrible, but if Colton will hurry up and get that camera off of me, I'll move my hands. All right, so let's go down here. me see somebody's piece of wire. Side tie, side of the insulator. Okay, if this was turned up or turned up this way and it was a straight line tie, we'd put it in the valley, right? Just like we did on that one. This jug could actually be sitting on that steel arm back there. Probably not right now because we're using a lot of fiberglass and different kind of pins, but there is an opportunity for this to be turned up, straight up and down, and then you tie it on the side up here just like that one, or in the middle. But right here it's stuck out to the side on the bow tie arm. Ties on top, still on the side of the jug, but it's on the top side of it. You're not going to tie this in on the bottom, okay? It's always going to lay on the insulator, either here or right there if this pin was turned up the other way, the jug, okay?
Unless you're going uphill.
Right.
If you had, for
Obviously,
some freaky reason, to go to a tall pole, you could put it on.
that would be a conversation that would be had
Yep.
at that point in time. But for the most part, it's going to lay on the top, okay? Remember what I drew inside. One starts on the front, one in front, one behind it. So I start on the opposite side of my wire, on the insulator, right? One's in front, and one's behind it. Right here, we're going to do 2 buttons.
You notice when he comes around, he pulls towards the insulator?
We're not going to wrap them where they come out here.
Right, you're not wrapping away, and then you get that gap. As you go around, your pull is always towards the insulator. It pulls your buttons in tight. It keeps everything tight. If you get one, give me your Kleins. If you get one and it's out a little bit and you don't like it, you can very carefully tap it in if you have to. Just be careful you don't bust the corner off the insulator, because then you got to change it.
So we started under the opposite on the insulator, opposite side of the wire, on the neck. 2 buttons, one tail in front, one tail in the back. 2 buttons, and then we cross. If you notice, when we done 2 buttons, we still ended up with the tail behind the wire and one in front of the wire. Okay, and it's going to cross the insulator where you started, but this one's going to stay on the front side of the one you started with right here. The one that's on the back is going to go to the back side. So if you look at it on the insulator up under here, they're all laying 3 flat just like that. They don't cross as they go under there, right? So you got to pull those tight. All 3 of those need to be laying in there somewhat tight, okay? So once you do that, we're doing 2 more buttons. Real world, I'm going to try to keep this rolled up the best that I can. The reason the guys, for sure the older school guys, like it rolled up really tight. I made one side of mine real small, because if they're tying this in hot, this is a dead ground, right? This is too.
Now remember, that'll be covered up by rubber. Got to clarify that, so somebody out there says,
they're going to say something about
you're teaching them to work on stuff. This would all be covered up with rubber, but we don't need tie wire going out here and banging into rubber up there. We keep everything tight.
Real life, all this is covered up. You got a blanket, half this insulator is covered up, and you got a blanket draped right up through here. Okay, does that make sense? So it's just a good habit to keep all that stuff somewhat tight, condensed for you. Same thing, cut it off.
Slides over, comes back.
Does not hang.
Does not hang.
Idea behind the flares right here. The tree falls over there where Randy's at. He pushes down on it just like the tree. Where's this wire trying to go? Trying to go that way, right? So it gives it a compression point for it to dissipate energy right here before it breaks the pin off, the insulator off this arm, or breaks the pole, or if it's an Alabama arm like that one, before it breaks it.
And if something hits it, it can't come off, can't go up. It's not coming off because you're looped tight 3 times. They won't break.
And you'll see some guys when they untie these, they're probably going to do a little bit. I like to keep mine compressed, so as I untied it, I was just wadding it up in a ball.
That's how I do it. I'm just like
Some
Shane.
guys are going to get it and cut it off every 4, 5, 6 inches.
See how
and
I'm
they'll throw it
going?
in their bag.
I got it all. Shane, see how I rolled it up? Finger in there. See how I roll it up? Roll it up. Keep it small. You get all that long stuff, it gets under a blanket, you've got a problem. Ball it up. You're throwing it away. Ball it up.
You'll see some guys that cut it off in little be short pieces,
Yeah.
throw it in their little bag. Just what they're doing. They're just keeping all that stuff short. That way it don't get over here. Bad habit there, you do a bad habit somewhere else, and then you'll burn
Same
your
way,
face off.
same way when you get used to tying these in, dead, de-energized, a brand new installation, and you run that tie wire all the way out long and you're flipping them long tails. What you do dead, you're gonna bring the bad habit when you work hot. Keep everything small and tight so that you learn good habits, so that when you go to work a hot pole, there's no second thought about what you're doing. Everything is tight. You don't have to worry about causing a flash. Even though you'll have rubber everywhere, you don't want something to get under a blanket and cause a problem. Is that good?
All right, you're done. You graduated. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
So y'all,
You'll
next
That's
get
what I'm talking about.
Your certificate mailed in for your 1995 class, and if you pay $24.95, you'll get it in 2 days instead of a week. Thank you. Have a good day. Please don't ever call us again.
Good job, Shane. That was great. You got a message to everybody watching this?
I really don't.
All right.
Yeah.
You can say it, I ain't got to use it.
We're trying to give a lot of good information to a wide range of work techniques. These are not techniques that are just one and done. We're trying to talk and explain a good wide range of ideas. That way they know when they get on a crew, they got to figure out what that crew likes and what to look for and have a really good idea versus the guy that just comes off the street that has absolutely no idea, and you've got to train from the get-go your way. At least hopefully these guys can think their way through what's going on, and probably can be of great benefit to whatever crew they go on if we leave it open-ended enough to let them think on their own a little bit. So just be mindful of that before you make some kind of negative comment, even though we don't care, but we're trying to help make these guys have a wide range of thought in whatever they do.
That's what I'm talking about.